By chance, I saw a notification on my wife's phone saying, "I'll bring a special toy." After investigating, I found thousands of videos and 750 pages PDF of photos my wife cheated. We've been married for 12 years and have no children of our own. She's been divorced once and has two boys, ages 30 and 24, whom I helped raise. Prior to our marriage, I believe we just experienced small bumps and troubles. We've had an open line of communication with each other, whether it's about work and venting, sexual concerns, or just how we were feeling. We often sit on the sofa and speak about life and philosophy in general. I believed we had a terrific connection and a fairly heavy, gratifying sex life. We are both in terrific condition and live a healthy lifestyle. I work in the financial business, and given the circumstances, I have been putting in a fair lot of overtime over the last 7 months. She works at a marketing firm and has been working from home for the last 7 months, which has made things seem a little remote, but we are close on our days off. I replaced the filter on the Honeywell air purifier in our bedroom last night and asked my wife if I could use her phone to update the app and reset the change filter notification. Mine was on the charger by the rear entrance. I saw she had put on a pattern unlock, and I wanted to question her about it. As I was searching for the app on her phone, a notice for Instagram appeared. My stomach fell instantly as I read the little tag, "I'll bring the special item," it stated. My brain recognized the words, but it just stopped operating. She inquired what was wrong after many minutes of my sitting and looking at the bedroom fan. My wife has a biannual out-of-town conference that takes her 2 states away for 6 days each business quarter. I knew it was about our forthcoming vacation on Wednesday. I've spent years browsing Reddit anonymously. I've read hundreds of novels that started like this, and I've never imagined myself sitting on my bedroom floor, chilly and puzzled. I recovered and answered, "Oh, just getting information about the Wi-Fi network and router that is how the fan communicates through the app. I have a laptop that she used to access Twitter yesterday. I took a 10-day trip on short notice. My boss is a kind person, and after I explain what I have uncovered and need to accomplish, I'll need time off. I've been up all night reading her conversations. She just left for the workplace, so I turned on Google location history and find my phone. I am really distrustful of anything she does now. I am unable to look at myself in the mirror. She had no idea I saw the SMS notice. I entered into ATT's message system and signed in using her phone number and name. There are at least 18,000 communications dating back to March of the previous year, including messages, jokes, seductive photos, and even sexual ones. She stopped messaging him like this approximately 4 months ago. She did not cease texting him, but she did quit using @TS messaging program. I am thinking they went to Instagram since it is more covert. I am not on any social media platforms. I am clueless. I just discovered that you cannot get into Instagram using Twitter, but it just requires an email address and a password, which she has done using this laptop. Hell, she used it only 2 nights ago, laying in bed next to me and caressing my back as I fell asleep. She messaged him and sexted him while laying next me. It's a younger dude from work. He is married with 4 small children. He and his wife use Twitter. I met him twice and shook his blasted hand. I am at a loss again, and I have been wandering aimlessly about my custom-built home for hours. I nearly don't feel anything. All I am absorbing is white-hot wrath. I went into Instagram, and there it was. I contacted my closest buddy, who has been divorced twice, Don, to get me started on his partner choices. He suggested a harsh lawyer. I aim to record and save everything. There are photos of them together, and I'm sure her or his phone has video. I really want this to be a horrible dream. She has spoken nasty things about me. She informed him about my insecurities. She has told him, "I love you." They have no long-term intentions, so this seems to be a strictly sexual relationship. Things nearly makes things better, but it also makes it worse, as if she is truly giving up our lives for this. She understands that infidelity is a definite deal-breaker for me. On the day she goes for her meetings, I usually accompany her to the airport and say a lengthy farewell. I can even think about what I need to accomplish now. My buddy suggests I print the whole thing and see if I can recover anything from Instagram. According to what I understand, I can't until I have her phone. My goal is to see the lawyer today. I am paying a ludicrous amount to get into her appointment line, get the ball moving, and maybe obtain a plan of action from her. I genuinely want to plan a trip, follow my wife to the hotel where she's staying, and catch her in the act. I have access to her hotel booking choices and have designated myself as a contact person, allowing me to get a room key without telling her. I believe I'll simply log on to the messaging apps when I get here and watch things unfold in real time. If I could have the paperwork ready in time, I'd give them to her instead. I am simply going to give her the printouts. It's a 750-page PDF. His wife approved my buddy request. I am now pondering shipping everything. I am fuming. I just don't want to lose any edge. I plan to travel there on Wednesday afternoon, check on, and see what they spoke about. I'll grab a room key and deliver the present to my wife's room, along with my wedding ring. I'm going to sit at the pub and watch my phone blow up. I'm going to phone the affair partner, AP, and tell him to meet me in the hotel lobby and bring my wife down, then inform him that an identical item has been delivered to his home address by certified mail, along with a Twitter message that I intend to send as soon as I tell him. It seems small and weak. I want to shout and yell, but I am powerless. This morning, all I could do was kiss her on the cheek goodbye. I can bear to look her in the eye. I need to get through the week. I suppose my question is my bitter, hate-fueled strategy worthwhile? I simply want to cause agony at this point. I want to damage her emotionally. I feel eviscerated and emasculated. I will not accept an apology. This is the only unforgivable conduct. It takes a lot of steps to cheat on someone. They may all be halted until the sin is finished, then it's over. Should I confront her tonight or capture her? I don't think I'll be updating. I am really considering never using social media again and just being with a person that shares my values in the future. I discovered the unique thing. Keep in mind that we have a chest full of adult entertainment gadgets. It was already in her carry-on. It's one of those remote control vibrators that can be operated via an app. It seems to be rather pricey. I'll meet with the lawyer in 40 minutes. Update 1. I don't know how to publish an update. I am simply revising my previous post. I met with an attorney. She was truly friendly, and dare I say, caring toward me. She said unequivocally that her job was to represent me in this struggle for my future, and my role in all of this was to give her the whole truth without complicating her job. I went to FedEx office and printed the file. I paid $462 for color because I wanted the photographs to pop. Shout out to Joe at FedEx for not creating a ruckus when the nudes began to come goes. He inquired what it was all about, so I told him. He was surprised but shook my hand and said, sorry. I went home and slept for approximately 4 hours, while my soon-to-be ex-wife, STBXW, arrived home about 1800 the normal time. The lawyer advised against any Hollywood confrontation at a hotel bar, stating that it would appear ridiculous and unprofessional. So I apologized to everyone who expected big drama. She was correct. Ultimately, there are 2 options for divorce: contentious or uncontested. She stated I would have to tell my STBXW that I had engaged counsel, and in order for us to continue, my STBXW would have to either dispute the divorce or go through mediation and then file. So she arrived home approximately 3 hours ago. I asked her if there was anything she wanted to discuss. She answered, nothing other than the election. She then inquired as to what was upsetting me. I wanted to weep, but truly, I had cried out. I expressed my curiosity as to why she had a remote control vibrator in her suitcase. The expression on her face was more telling than anything I'd ever seen. She seemed terrified and pallid. She started to breathe quickly and sweat. I wondered why she would have anything like that who had the code in the app for it. She stuttered, and the tears started as I brought out my 3 file folders full of text conversations. I inquired if the APS wife would have it. She wept, pleading that she could explain. I told her she had 8 minutes to accomplish it. Of course she could not. I told her what my attorney instructed me to tell her. I also told her to leave. She shrieked, it was her house too. I gently informed her that it may be, but I would warn everyone about her affair and betrayal, even the boys, or she could leave immediately and find temporary housing. Hell, she'll be at a work conference for a week. She was speechless. I casually opened Twitter and showed her the APS wife. I said, do you want me to tell her or are you going to do it right now? Tears, moans, and pleading with, I love you, and it wasn't supposed to go this far. Then my favorite, you can do this. I said, well, it looks like I am doing it, as I sent the APS wife a message with the file of their escapades attached. I apologized and provided a short explanation. I have not heard back from her. I leafed through the piles of paper and began reading random sections aloud to my STBXW. I just wish we could spend the day attached to each other. Just you inside of me. You feel so much more intense than any other man I've ever been with. She is still weeping and wants to speak about us. She claims our marriage can endure her error. I told her I would never forgive her. Her word is worthless. And she tossed away the previous 12 years. I am still considering the hotel option, and I am going to inform everyone about her desire to terminate our marriage by cheating. Thank you to everyone who has replied. I am sorry I was unable to react to all of the PMs and replies. I have a therapy appointment set on Friday. I am feeling incredibly thrilled. I am shaking and feeling so low right now. I sort of want to die. The home is rather silent with the exception of her screaming and groaning. I advised her not to return after her vacation. I am now sending out friend invites and attempting to get everyone on my page. I'll simply email it to everyone that way. I'll wait till the morning to contact the lads. I reared them from the ages of 14 and 8, and they are now men, 30 and 24. I don't know what to say or how to manage them. Update 2. So far, I've gotten approximately 1,200 requests for an update or information on what's going on in my painful and hate-filled life. My new therapist advised me to go ahead and do it. It would help me re-enter and concentrate. To those who kept stating that it's not how Instagram works, you are right. She had it going in the background. It was WhatsApp. I don't give a damn. I saw it. I'd want to thank Honeywell once again for their app and the amazing air purifier I received as a Christmas gift from my cousin. Here goes. I am going to provide more context for our position to assist you understand why I feel the way I do. My initial message was essentially a stream of mind, and it seemed as incoherent as it did then. I attended college in Miami in the late 1980s. I graduated in 1994. I had a great time there. I got about. It was at this pivotal period that I determined I would never marry. It was seen as an outmoded idea that effectively eliminates your autonomy, and I certainly did not want children. When I finished my accounting degree, I rapidly found success in financial consulting. In 1996, I returned to New York to earn my Master's degree as an advanced practice consultant, specializing in corporate finance. While I was doing this, I decided to attend law school and changed my courses to meet the requirements for admission. It was then that I met my STBXW. She was a small, curvaceous, or thick blonde firebrand. We met in a cafe. It was intense, both in terms of desire and dating. We said I love you within 4 months. She was a mother of 2. Remember, I wanted to be child-free and had been divorced for approximately 3 years. When we met, she had recently ended an on-and-off-again romance. We dated for almost 3 years, and she gradually introduced me to her 2 boys, aged 14 and 8. She sat me down one night and had a very sincere but realistic conversation about us, where we were at the moment, and what she wanted and expected from me or any other partner. Essentially, she stated it was time to marry or go on. I was still fairly anti-marriage, which she appreciated. She was telling me this to give me time to reflect about us and our future plans. She made a valid argument in that we had been living together for 10 months and had each other's contact information in case of emergency. She quipped that all we were missing was each other on our insurance. It was a wonderful, honest conversation, and we decided to carry on for a little more, but I would eventually have to make the choice. 3 weeks later, I received an admission letter to a law school almost 5 hours away. I felt both delighted and saddened. I had just celebrated my 30th birthday and was ready to achieve a major life goal. Then I knew I wouldn't see her or the guys again. My self-doubt overwhelmed me. Being a law student, followed by a residency with a fellowship, would take around 8 years. All the while, I couldn't produce enough money to sustain the lifestyle we had been used to. I rejected and returned to pursuing a Master's degree in business administration after considering the idea of at least 8 years of loans, debt, and effort, as well as losing her. We were married in December 1998. The event was small and personal, attended only by close relatives and friends. While my parents loved the boys, and rightfully so, they have always been reserved with my STBXW. When I informed my parents what was going on and that the boys may not be as present in their lives as they had been, they told me that they thought my STBXW was damaged goods, since I had previously been married and had been forced to compromise. That truly touched home, and to some degree, they were right. After graduation, I had no desire to become a manager or director. I am a hands-on person that enjoys working with customers. The company I worked at provided a corporate strategy certification, which I did. It was an extremely competitive application, yet I was accepted. For the last 14 years, I've been working in this industry and everything associated. I had a great experience, but it was also tough and upsetting at times. My STBXW decided around 6 years ago that her time as an RN on the floor had come to an end, and she wanted a more 9-to-5 career free of patience and drama. She connected with a buddy at a multi-state marketing company that specialized in financial advisory. She extracts data from client charts and provides it in the format desired. So there is the configuration. I slept for barely a few hours on Monday morning D-Day +3. I had gloomy, unsettling ideas about my future existence. I still have ideas and scenarios of murder and violence against them and myself. I was in the kitchen preparing breakfast oatmeal and toast when she entered, still bleary-eyed. She asked if I could make her some. I dumped it into the garbage in front of her. I then loaded up my record player and played songs from my childhood at an unpleasant volume to keep her from attempting to speak to me. I'm aware that I am rather mature. I started pain shopping, reviewing the printout in chronological sequence. I do, but I don't advocate it. By the afternoon, I was done with hardcore punk and had moved on to Marvin Gaye and Sam Cooke's breakup ballads. She approached again, almost furious, and inquired as to what use telling the APS wife would serve. I gazed at her for what seemed like an inordinate period of time, stunned. I told her straight out that at least the APS wife would have the opportunity to make an educated choice about her future rather than surrendering and suffering for someone who would betray them so ruthlessly. I believe my message to the APS wife was received, and things were not going well for him. She got down on the sofa and started crying and sobbing. I told her I cried out, or rather, I was so numb that I would do it later once I finished what needed to be done. She questioned timidly, all fury and bluster gone from her voice, what more I needed to do. I said to her, to ruin your life and give you the pain I have now. I informed her that if she had any respect or love for me, she would unlock her phone and reveal everything. She declined, saying it didn't matter and all I could do was hold it against her. I said that there was a part of me, a completionist, that wanted to know. She declined and walked into the guest bedroom. I discovered her HR new hire documentation from her workplace. They have a corporate compliance line, so I phoned and left a lengthy message. The STBXW and AP had discussed customer information, which included protected data via an insecure, non-approved messaging channel. I also informed. They discovered that she served as his acting supervisor on 2 projects at the same time, both of which included sexually inappropriate messages. Finally, I said that they both utilized their subsidized phones to send sexual content pictures, sexting, and videos. That was also a massive no-no. I've always considered myself a quiet and logical individual. This has shattered a part of me. I don't know where all of this rage has come from. I am worried will it stop. I know that in order to move on from this, I'll need to accept her apologies and forgive her for her faults. I simply don't know whether I am competent, and that worries me. That evening, I proceeded to inform relatives and friends about the issue and her behavior. I contacted a medical buddy and asked for a checkup and an STD test. He had questions. I responded. Around 6, my eyes began to feel heavy. I decided to drive to see the lads. They reside around 4 hours away. The youngest is still at college for another semester, possibly longer, due to the epidemic. I have been having strong sentiments regarding them since this started. I have a polite, pleasant connection with them, but not a very fatherly one. The oldest is extremely nice, but there is always that "you're not my dad" sense between us. The youngest not so much, but when they are together it becomes more noticeable. I left early on Monday at 4:00 a.m. and got to their apartment, which their father pays for, just after 8:30 a.m. I prepared pastries and nice coffee for them. They were instantly concerned about their mother before I said anything. I told them the truth about the situation and that their mother would most likely be relocating within the next 4 to 8 months. I honestly believe it was preferable to do and say this in person. I told them everything. They were dissatisfied with her. I then explained that I wasn't there to persuade them to choose a side, but that they were adults in a unique situation within our connection, and that if they wanted not to engage or have a relationship with me, that was okay. I would feel both disappointed and relieved. I informed them, however, that our connection, or lack thereof, should not interfere with their grandparents, my parents. They both agreed that they would want to remain in contact with their grandparents. I left at 1:00 and went home. I dropped by my closest friend S' place and sobbed a bit. I had basically helped to raise them as best I could. Their father was gone for much of their upbringing, having formed another family 8 hours away. My closest buddy thought I had drank enough in the previous 96 hours and wanted to sleep. That night, I slept over at his apartment. I noticed my STBXW was blowing up my phone after I left the guy's apartment. Ah well, I was too exhausted and in a terrible place to care. Tuesday D-Day +4. I got home at 9:00 and found her BMW was still there. I briefly assumed she had taken an Uber to the airport. No, she hadn't. She was up and had breakfast prepared. She invited me to sit down and dine with her. I did. She inquired about how it tasted. I told her, like static. I informed her that for the last 8 days, all I could taste and feel was bitterness and rage. She phoned in ill from work and did not attend her biannual meeting. She attempted to explain about how scared she was about me and how much she loved me. She had received a call from her eldest child at 2:00 yesterday, and they were profoundly troubled by her actions. I laughed. As I performed it, I realized that it was not a humorous chuckle. It had a frenzied air about it, which surprised me. I responded, "Oh, you love me so much you had an affair behind my back. You love me so much you fucked some other married man. You love me so much you pissed away nearly half of my life." Because she had never given me a reason for doing it, I told her that it made it much worse. I walked to the liquor cupboard and took out the bottle. The bottle was a 25-year-old Macallan that my grandpa purchased for us when we married. It had been our ritual to enjoy a modest drink on our anniversary night and recall that things improve with time and patience. I chugged the rest of it. About 1/3 of the bottle was left. I corrected myself. Sorry I didn't offer you any because you did not deserve any. I walked to the bedroom and started removing all of the photographs on the wall that included us or her. I put them on the kitchen table. She departed. My attorney, or rather her paralegal, phoned to inform me that the divorce petition was complete and that I needed to sign off on it before it could be filed. My STBXW would be served within 15 business days. I rapidly read it while buzzing on quality scotch, e-signed it, and hit submit. I also received a note from the APS wife. She hesitantly thanked me for this dreadful but positive discovery. She refused to talk with me but wanted to contact me to say she discovered messages and videos with ladies other than my STBXW. She booted him out and was going to see an attorney shortly. They reside in Nevada. He screwed. I then listened to music and had a couple more beers. I fell asleep at 6:00 p.m. I heard her get home about midnight. She saw the collection of photographs and other items that had formerly had significance for us. She started weeping and asked me to speak to her. I just asked one question: why? She continued stating that she didn't know. I called her terrible names and said that she took several selections simply to get to the first text. She initiated it. Due to my inebriation, I was quite loose with my tongue. I smiled at her, began removing my clothing, and exclaimed, "You threw away this," referring to my body. "I'm going to get laid for it. But I weigh 230 pounds and stand 6'5" tall. Until last week, I was still jogging and doing weights 5 times a week for a pot-bellied needle-dick person who wasn't going to help her. I went to my room and took a shower. When I got out, she was naked in the bed, had lit some candles, and begged me to fuck her. I turned on my camera and told her to repeat what she said. I thank everyone who mentioned doing this just in case, for whatever reason, my erection did not do a good job of convincing her that I didn't want to. So I did it. I was not kind. I put her in uncomfortable positions and pounded her. I told her I wanted anal, and I wanted to hear. We fell asleep together, and I awoke feeling hungover and having difficulty looking in the mirror. Wednesday D-Day +5 therapy was a 3-hour session. Unbeknownst to me, she followed me there and wanted to know what I was doing. I told her I was getting some therapy for the emotional trauma I had after realizing I had thrown away most of my life on someone who couldn't even give me a reason why she would cheat on me. I was a little loud and teary-eyed. My soon-to-be new therapist saw most of the exchange. I called her horrible names and told her I wished. When I told him about the sex, he suggested that I lay out the specifics of the sex. This is a series of questions that I believe can be applied to any behavior that you want to explain the motivation behind. I cried. I raged. I left exhausted. My STBXW was still outside waiting for me. I walked past her and didn't respond to her questions and pleading. I got a call from the physician's office to get tested and went to that appointment. I told him the short version. He recommended that I stop drinking and take the sedatives cautiously. I went home and proceeded to continue removing my things from the house and boxing them up. I have decided I would move out. I called work and requested a face-to-face meeting. The thought of working or concentrating on legitimate life and death issues is not possible in my current state of mind. I drove to the administrative building at the firm, met with the team, and formally gave my 8-week resignation. I have such a niche, specialized job that 8 weeks is kind of a minimum courtesy. I put it succinctly that my STBXWS actions had caused a stressful home life, and I would be a detriment to clients, the team, and myself if I continued to remain in this area. I have decided to move away, far away. After picking up some groceries, I returned home. It had been about 10 days since I had more than a mouthful of food and had been living on alcohol and not much else. I took both my therapist S and physician friend S advice and decided to make some food and stop drinking. She was home, sitting in the dark in the living room, drinking wine, organizing the pictures and looking through them. She had put on makeup and was wearing a date night dress. She had been crying. She began weeping again, telling me that the APS wife had contacted her and informed her that he had had other women than her, that she was the idiot, and that every disparaging word I had called her was correct. She begged me to think about us, but I answered, "Why bother? You didn't when you betrayed me." I told her I was sorry her lies caught up with her, but I felt she was sorry she got caught, not remorseful for what she did to me. I told her I felt she was sorry she was going to have to start over, and that she was more upset about that than losing any love she had for me. I told her that she abandoned her love for me or us 3 years ago when she made this decision. I kept piling it on her. I informed her of my call to the corporate compliance line and the specific rules she broke. I didn't raise my voice or act angry. I was shaking a bit, but it was like everything was leaving me in a hurry. I felt elated and so low at the same time. I put up the few groceries I had bought and made a small sandwich, then went to bed. She was there again. I pulled out my phone and told her with the recorder going what my Thursday D-Day +6, I woke up and she was curled up next to me. I removed myself and did some light exercises. I have been working on my resume and getting applications out. I might be working in Chicago by the end of the year. I love my parents and will miss being 25 minutes away from them, especially as they get older. I can just stay in this city. The thought of running into her after this is over is not something I want to entertain. I met up with my best friend and gave him a rundown over an early dinner. We decided not to drink. My attorney said that my moving away will not affect the outcome of the financials. I am going to live off my PTO until the end of December and use my half of our liquid savings to relocate and settle. I feel empty, and I am trying to laugh at his funny jokes, but it is an effort. I keep finding myself in a deep emptiness that is such a powerful pull. My STBXW has been going to the bookstore I've been watching through Google and reading relationship books. I've been reading Chump Lady ITS, great stuff. She got a call from her work. I eavesdropped on a small portion of it, but I know she has a meeting tomorrow, despite her claiming to be sick. She was in bed again, just like the last few nights. I am so conflicted. I just want to feel something. But all I feel is hatred and resentment for her. I told her the ground rules for sex with my phone recording, that it did not indicate reconciliation or a covert signal that I wanted it, that this was probably hysterical bonding and not healthy, and that I was not going to be gentle or care about her feelings or needs during it. She was teary-eyed and noted understanding, and she quietly said that she deserved it before rolling over and getting on all fours. Friday D-Day +7. I awoke with her spooning me. I lay there for a while and heard her breathing change pattern. I could feel her looking at me. I asked with my back turned what her meeting was going to be about. She said it was an HR representative, and it was probably going to be bad. I said, yep. She asked what she could do to make us right or equal again. I said, nothing. She offered an open marriage on my end. She would not pursue anyone, but I could. When I confronted her, she said it was a huge relief and an unforgettable pain. I got up and made us breakfast, and I went to my therapist. I chuckled again. Well, obviously that doesn't matter. She said it was an adventure, like she lived off the rush, and she didn't realize until it was too late that if she got caught or something went wrong, everyone would be hurt. After a 2-hour session, I returned home to find her sitting in the living room. She informed me that she had been fired due to a breach of protocol with client information and a violation of data security protocols. I said, well, that's too bad. I exercised and prepared a nice dinner, and she joined me. We didn't say much, but she informed me that the AP had been fired. They were both free. Now she could fly out to her soulmate, and they could have all the pleasure they wanted. She claimed I was the only one she wanted. I answered, no, you had me all of me, and it was still insufficient. I told her that in nearly 15 years of work in our relationship, I had been approached and hit on too many times to count, but I managed to avoid falling in love or sleeping with anyone else. She asked what compromises I made, and I told her wanting to go to law school, but deciding to get married and be stable. I didn't want children, but since they were a part of her, I accepted and sacrificed. I added, I made those concessions for our love, but clearly, I had misplaced my faith and love in you. If I could go back in time, I would advise my 30-year-old self to pass you up. She asked again what she could do to bring us back together, and I told her that I would never compromise for her again, which means we can have a healthy relationship. I told her that I would never love her again, and that at best, I would treat her like a sex toy otherwise. She wouldn't factor into my plans or thoughts. I told her that just a week ago, she was the first person I thought of when I woke up, and the last person I thought about when I went to bed. I am still unsure of what I want, and I'm not sure if I'll ever be completely certain about anything with her again. I have bi-weekly meetings with my therapist for the next 8 weeks. Update 3. Sorry, good people. My inner Hemingway is not back. I'm afraid this isn't going to be nearly as tidy or visceral as the beginning of this beautiful disaster. Well, it's been an interesting 7 weeks. I moved out about 5 days after my last update. My STBXW constantly texts and leaves notes on my apartment door and car. I told my lawyer, who offered to write her a stern cease and desist letter, which I am considering. My therapist has complimented me on my progress and is confident I can manage the anger, despair, and depression I initially felt. And I agree. My STBXW and I had sex one last time the night before I moved out, and I told her, in no uncertain terms, that it meant nothing and would not change my mind about reconciliation. She says she understood, but with the constant attempts to communicate, I am not convinced. She was served notice of the filing for the divorce pet. In any case, I am okay. I've recognized her flaws as a person and as a husband, and I've informed her that I'd never forgive her. I just accept what occurred and continue on with my life. It just goes to show that who you know matters. Over the last 4 weeks, I had 2 unexpected surprises. My stepsons came to see me. I told them straight up that if their mother put them up to it, they didn't have to do it, but my oldest insisted. It turns out that they had a lengthy discussion with their mother regarding this sordid affair, and our relationship came up for discussion. My oldest stepson had always had a huge chip on his shoulder when it came to me, and he apologized for that. It turns out that his ass. My STBXW and I had been dating for about 6 months, and there was definitely overlap with the on-off guy before we dated. My STBXW had been in an on-off relationship with a man my stepsons hadn't met. Her first husband had cheated on her, and she tried to reconcile for about 2 years. Then she decided to have a revenge affair on again off again guy. Well, my stepsons thought I was that guy. Their father had spent the majority of their lives like to address the accusatory statements about the sex my STBXW requested while I was preparing to leave. My STBXW has always been into BDSM. I wasn't all into it. The whole point of it was that I didn't provide aftercare for her hell. I took classes and attended workshops on being a dom. I did it to make her happy. I am done making her happy. She lost that privilege. She also lost my respect, which is pretty much the death of a marriage. Surprise 2 was a longtime coworker. She works in another department. I've decided to stay as a PRN worker as needed part-time. Well, needless to say, it has been interesting. She found out about my pending divorce and all the gossip in the office. I've taken to wearing my wedding ring on a chain now. I told her, after she insisted she'd take me out for a drink, that one way or another, I wouldn't be around much longer and had zero interest in any type of relationship. She just smiled and squeezed my hand and told me that she had no intention of being with me forever. She just wanted to fuck my brains out and try me on. She's been spending the night a couple of times a week, and it is something I have enjoyed. She even helped me pack my carry-on and dropped me off at the airport for my interview in Chicago. I nailed that interview, and I got a call from a travel agent who also had a lot of opportunities for me. I'm not sure what I want to do, but it's strangely liberating to not be responsible for another person, and be this liberated almost instantly. I like the idea of traveling and staying at my parents' house in between contracts. My lawyer informed me that there is no alimony or spousal support in the state, and that infidelity does not affect the actual divorce. However, infidelity with proof does affect the division of assets, and it may even swing up to 80-20 in my favor. I asked a realtor to run comps, and it will be a substantial amount, not enough to justify 12 years down the drain. But I am considering a 4-month European tour. Thank you, Redditors. Some of y'all's talks were amazing, and therapy I am feeling again, and it's been quite good. I am not in the greatest of places, but I am certainly not as awful as I might be. This is my last update, and I am going back to lurking anonymously, hoping I never have to post again.